Good early evening. We've got a lot to get to on this special edition of To The Point at 4:30. But first, you already know, we're starting with meteorologist Brendan Minchev here. Brendan, we've been hearing the potential for not only tornadoes, but also hail. That's kind of concerning. Break it down for me. I tried to catch you in the hallway.
A little bit. We've got a chance of severe weather tonight. It is raining right now, though, here in Sacramento. It is very loud on the roof of our studios right now. But as we look at the radar, you can see where that really heavy rain band is right now. It formed right along I-5, now pushing off to the west. So the pocket, Sacramento, West Sacramento, is headed towards Davis right now. We've even seen one or two lightning strikes, heard a couple rumbles of thunder. We'll zoom in a little bit. If you're getting ready to leave work and head out to drive home, just be aware this is dropping a lot of rain very quickly. Ponding on roads is very possible. Be safe, drive safely as well. Flash flood watch for the LNU lightning complex, burn scar, as well as the mosquito fire area. We're seeing a lot of rain up there in the foothills right now, especially. We'll zoom in on the mosquito fire, and you can see just over the last hour or so how much rain is falling over the fire right now. That is also some welcome news. So just looking across Northern California, you can see some thunderstorms and heavy rain showers popping up from Fairfield to Sacramento, and then just some rain showers in the higher elevations. Now, before the rain that we're seeing right now in Sacramento, this was updated about 15 minutes ago, Davis has had over 1.25 inches in the last 36 hours. Grass Valley, just over 1 inch of rain. Yuba City, 3/4 of an inch. Sacramento International has had almost 1/4 of an inch of rain. But as Alex mentioned a minute ago, there is that chance for some severe weather later on this evening. Level 1 marginal risk, flooding and some hail are the primary concerns. So let's take a look at future track as we go through the rest of the evening hours. You can see some thunderstorms popping up, especially north of Stockton, working through Sacramento, and then north along I-5. And so those thunderstorms could become some severe thunderstorms, dropping a quarter-sized hail, maybe a little bit bigger. Of course, it's not uncommon when we get some thunderstorms to see a little bit of rotation in these, so we could see a brief spin up with maybe a funnel cloud or so. But as long as this low pressure just sits off the coast of California, we're going to have those rain chances today, tomorrow, and even lingering into Wednesday as well. So as we look at the 10-day forecast, tomorrow and Wednesday, temperatures near 74, but generally starting to dry out. But Alex, right now we got a lot of rain and some more rain coming on later tonight.
Yeah, and we will continue to watch this. Thanks, Brendan. Now to our main point, the migrant crisis. You might have heard Florida Governor Ron DeSantis sent 50 Venezuelan migrants to Martha's Vineyard. It's something happening in a number of left-leaning so-called sanctuary states. Southern Republican governors are saying it's their way of bringing immigration issues to light. And just days ago, we heard that a few of the men had arrived in Sacramento from down south. So ABC 10's Roxanne Elias is here. She actually spoke to one of the migrants outside of the ICE detention center. And ICE detention, that is the Immigration, Customs and Enforcement. Roxanne, what did he have to say?
Alex, I talked to him today. He arrived this last Friday with 7 other men that he actually befriended on his long journey from Venezuela. Now, he didn't want to share his face or his name because he has some fear there with everything going on. But he did show me some of the scars he sustained while trekking through Mexico to get to the Texas border. He spoke for the group, saying they crossed the border illegally, but turned themselves into immigration shortly after. He says the government gave them paperwork and sent them on their way, and an organization in Texas then helped them purchase airplane tickets from San Antonio all the way here to Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
But he has no clue why they came here or why they were sent here.
Ellos nos mandaron ahí y uno, sabe, uno anda ilegal, anda uno, ¿qué va a hacer? Bueno, estamos en Estados Unidos, vamos a ver cómo resolvemos. Ya lo importante es que estamos en Estados Unidos, pero no era lo que, o sea, lo planteado por nosotros, porque ellos tenían que preguntarnos para dónde quieren ir.
Roxanne, do we know if these men were sent here as part of the campaign that we're seeing from Southern governors of sending, people across the nation?
Alex, I specifically asked him about this. He did not know if that was part of why they had been sent here to Sacramento, but we have reached out to other agencies such as the Department of Homeland Security, San Antonio officials. We're still waiting to hear back, kind of just some clarity on what really happened on the background of that.
What's next for these migrants? What happens after this?
Well, as they were leaving ICE today, they tell me that they want to be able to work here. So they're trying to get a permit to do that and perhaps have a life here legally so that they can actually contribute to society.
All right, Roxanne, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, there was a protest outside of the Department of Developmental Services. After the break, investigative reporter Andy Judson explains what protesters are asking for and what they're making their plea for now. Today, protesters took to the street outside of the Department of Developmental Services, demanding change from the state agency. This protest happens to come after our 2-year investigation, the price of care taken by the state, that dug into California's broken conservatorship system and uncovered alarming failures from DDS. And these protesters had a strong message for the DDS director, Nancy Bargman.
Today we're calling for Nancy Bargman's resignation because we feel like there's a lack of leadership and we want her to step down and let someone else lead. We're here because we have families that are being torn apart. We have conservatorships which are unwanted and not in the best interest of the clients.
Investigative reporter Andy Judson is with me now. Andy, you've been looking into this for quite some years. We're already seeing a large reaction, and we just aired our season finale a week ago. How is that?
Right, yeah, and I do want to be clear, we did not organize this protest. You know, some of these demonstrators have been out there demanding change from the Department of Developmental Services for months, saying that there's a number of failures happening. Others are joining now because of our investigation, the price of care taken by the state, and that includes a very familiar face from episode 1, Jill Schutte. Her son is conserved by DDS, and we actually caught up with her today. You can go ahead and take a listen.
Until this morning, I had no idea how far this story has reached and how many people are trying to help Garth and help Andrew and help others that we don't know about. It's great to see the support here. We need more and more support, folks.
And Alex, we can all hear the rain right now. Obviously, today is not the best day for a protest outside, but these protesters actually leaned into it. They said they are bringing the storm to the Department of Developmental Services, and they plan to as well in the future.
All right, Andy, thank you so much. You can catch the full episodes of The Price of Care taken by the state on our website or our YouTube channel. Andy, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Here are some of the other stories that we're following today. Reading woman Sherry Papini has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for faking her own kidnapping back in 2016. The 40-year-old mother of 2 was missing for almost a month before she was found along I-5, covered in self-inflicted wounds. To fit her story that she had been abducted by 2 Hispanic women when she was out for a run. Papini pled guilty back in April. She is required to pay more than $300,000, and she'll be reporting to prison on November 8th. Nearly the entire island of Puerto Rico is without power after being devastated by Hurricane Fiona. The storm hit almost 5 years to the day after Hurricane Maria hit the island. The storm entered Puerto Rico as a Category 1 hurricane with sustained winds of 90 miles an hour or more. Now, some parts of the island saw 25 inches of rain as of 8 o'clock this morning, and so far 1 person on the island has died. And then hundreds of thousands of people lined the streets of London today for the Queen's funeral. She was taken to the St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, where she was laid to rest. The president and the first lady were also in attendance, along with hundreds of other dignitaries and heads of state from around the world. Queen Elizabeth II served as the monarch for more than 70 years, and she was also Britain's longest serving ruler. After the break, we are taking a look into the past, more on the story of Sacramento's deadliest plane crash and how it forever changed our city. 50 years ago, tragedy struck in Sacramento. The city was forever changed when a plane crashed through an ice cream parlor, killing 22 people. I spoke with the first police officer to arrive on scene and 3 other first responders who were all there that day. For the first time, they are sharing their experiences and explaining how the crash changed the city. Here's a look at just some of what you'll see tonight in our To the Point special edition coming up at 10:30. A Sacramento fire captain who was inspired by the crash ended up creating the largest burn treatment center right here in Northern California. He proved that while scars may never fade, they do heal.
So when the crash happened, Cliff was in the department. There were many people injured, and there was no burn center here in Sacramento. In fact, burn care at that time was pretty limited to the Army bases taking care of military soldiers coming back from war. And so when big burns would happen, people would be transported to like Fort Sam, Houston, and other places. That's when Cliff said, we really need to have a burn center in our own community. Cliff did an excellent job of setting up a payroll deduction system through the local, Firefighters Union local, and probably raised about $125,000 a year. That was just from firefighters wanting to support the burn center, knowing that they, on any given day, might be a burn survivor themselves, that they might get burned, that they might need a burn center.
Well, when the plane crashed, he contacted our union, and they together created this charity. And one of the first things that came out of the charity was UC Davis opened the first burn unit.
Cliff worked really hard to get the burn center here in Sacramento.
Nobody wanted to open a burn unit here. Burn care is not only very expensive, but a lot of the people that get burnt have no coverage.
As firefighters, we got into the profession to help people. And Cliff took it to another level. When he saw that we did not have that burn care here, he said we could do better, and he did, and he was a driving force for that.
I think that Cliff was touched by the impact of that crash, by the burn care professionals who worked every day to save people. His heart was truly in that. Cliff was the executive director here. He volunteered 20-some years of his life as a retired fire captain from Sacramento City as the executive director. He asked me if I would come on board and help him start some of the programs. Probably one of the biggest fundraisers we started was the Fill the Boot for Burns. I think over time got to a point that it was raising close to $500,000. Those other firefighters in those other communities started doing boot drives in their communities as well.
I always would tell people, out of a tragedy came something good, this charity. The charity still raises money for the people that work at those burn units, the doctors, the nurses, all the different technicians, a lot of continuing education for them. I just had somebody mention that to me the other day. You guys just help firefighters, right? And I go, no.
We're here to serve the community, and we certainly focus on people that have been at Shriners and UC Davis, but we serve a community well beyond that. We don't care where they're from or what state they're in. If we can support them, we will support them.
So we'll help them with whatever they need, hotels, meals, whatever, we're there for them.
We recognized is that it's not just the care that's given at the hospital. That's huge. Again, they're getting some of the finest care you can get in this nation. But what we started realizing is the aftercare. It's when these individuals, especially our kids, they come out, if they're burned when they're young, every time they have a growth spurt, they need a new graft. So they're continually coming back. So I think that emotional support has been huge, and to let them know that they're a part of a community. A lot of burn survivors that I've met over the years went years without really knowing anybody else that had a burn injury. And by pulling these individuals together, there's power in that. The person that maybe had their burn injury 5 years ago can speak to somebody that just had theirs and be able to say, I know where you've been. I was there myself, but here I am now.
The scar tissue, the injuries themselves, the reconstructive surgery that needs to take place over years. And we did a summer camp for burn injured children where those kids could just be kids. They all had scars. They all might have been missing fingers or having reconstructive surgeries, but the firefighters made that the best camp that exists in the country, and it became known as the Firefighters Kids Camp, not the summer camp for burn injured children. We really wanted to eliminate that whole burn injury thought, and this was a place of recovery and just being with other kids who are just like you.
Sacramento has the best burn care probably anywhere in the world. These people that work here are amazing. The surgeons work not only at UC Davis, but they work at Shriners. If you ever go to one of the burn units, it's very common to see one of the doctors walking across the street back and forth. They're amazing people. I have never met hardly anybody so dedicated to what they do, their profession, as them.
With many of these guys and gals, they didn't know if they were going to get out. So even though that they're safe now, there was a moment that they didn't know if they were going to make it or not. And that really can eat at you. And having somebody up here to talk to is very important.
Cliff, tall guy, quiet. I love the man. When you got to know him, jokingly, some people would call him mumbles because that's how he talked. There's all kinds of jokes that go behind that. Cliff's heart was in this place. He was a great guy. His whole life was not only being a firefighter, but running this charity. The two burn units probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Cliff.
Cliff's legacy is forever cemented in the burn unit over on Stockton Boulevard, and we will have the full story about this crash coming up on a special edition of To The Point at 10:30. Let's take another quick look at your forecast, handing things over to Brendan because we felt the cooler temperatures. We're feeling the rain. What else are we seeing right now?
Yeah, well, from the Gilmore backyard, temperatures are pretty cool. 68 in Sacramento, 70s in Stockton and Modesto, Marysville as well, 50s in Tahoe. Still that strong storm moving through Davis now, Natomas, Sacramento National Airport, Woodland, all headed your way. As we zoom out, lots of showers across the area, and we still have that chance for severe weather as we go through the evening, with hail being that primary threat. We start to dry out tomorrow as we look at the 10-day forecast. 80s for the first day of fall on Thursday, and even some 90s for this weekend.
Before we go, some potentially good news is on the way for people who get Social Security. Every assistance someone can get will change based on inflation. This is called the COLA, or the cost of living adjustment. Now, a group that advocates for senior citizens is projecting that next year's adjustment could be around 9% because inflation is just so high. If that is the case, it'll be the largest single-year adjustment since 1981. With that increase, the average retiree could see about $150 more per month. Thank you so much for spending your Monday evening with us. I want to hear what's going on in your world, and there are a million ways to reach me. I have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or you can just email me and the team. We'll see you at 10:30. We'll see you at 10:30. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.